Perhaps your guardsmen feel the need for speed, or maybe you're a commander who's got a long way to go and a short time to get there. Maybe you just think Tauroxes are cool as hell and you want to run 9 of them. Whatever your transportation needs are, the Mechanized Assault Detachment is here to get you there in as few pieces as possible. We'd like to thank Games Workshop for providing us with a preview copy of the Codex for this review. If you'd rather read your in-transport entertainment than watch it, head on over to goonhammer.com for a written companion piece. Link in the description. Detachment Rule: Armored Fist. Each time an Astra Militarum unit makes a ranged attack in a turn in which it disembarked from a transport, add 1 to the wound roll. It's a simple rule. Ride up in your tank or flying minivan of choice, then bravely get out and shoot somebody. There are several transport options available from Chimeras to Valkyries, and although GW chose the coward's path by forbidding Titanic units from benefiting from several of this detachment's stratagems and enhancements, the Stormlord, Doomhammer, and Banehammer all do work here. The enhancements have a mix of offensive and defensive options, with a rare Tech Priest upgrade as a treat. Bold Leadership gives the Bearer's unit the ability to sticky objectives, and that also passes to any transports they're riding in. Unfortunately, you can't fit a combined Catachan infantry and command squad into a Chimera for a big scouting sticky threat, but this has got some good general use. Sacred Unguents, aside from forcing the user to Google how to pronounce it, is the rare Tech Priest Engine Seer enhancement, letting one of your non-Titanic, non-aircraft transports reroll hits so long as they're parked next to your tech nerd. Taurox Prime shooting isn't really anything to write home about, so this is kind of a puzzling upgrade. Smoke Grenades provide stealth and cover when the bearer's unit is wholly within 3 inches of a transport. They don't have to have disembarked from that transport, just be standing next to it, and it might be enough to let your dudes survive just a little more shooting. Vanguard Honors let the bearer's unit hop out of a vehicle after it advances, though they can't move or charge afterwards. Tauroxes already do this, but if you want to sprint a Chimera or Banehammer up the table, this is a solid option. It's great for adding a ton of extra movement to a unit that needs to do an action or capture an objective. You're not going to believe this, but the Transport Detachment really wants to support transports with its stratagems. You've got 3 movement options, with a reactive move for a transport and 2 separate stratagems to re-embark. Vox Relay lets an embarked infantry officer issue orders to any non-Titanic transport units on the battlefield. Half of this effect can already be found on the Chimera, but infinite range orders to transports can occasionally come in handy to toss out some extra movement or OC without using your precious squadron orders. Rapid Dispersal lets an infantry unit move d6 inches after piling out. You can stack this with an advancing Taurox with 3 inches of extra movement from move, then disembark and move d6 inches further for a theoretical max of 30 inches. You might not need to go that far, but this can really help with positioning. Clear and Secure lets an infantry unit reroll all hits and wounds when it jumps out of a transport and targets a unit on an objective. This combines with the detachment's +1 to wound to deliver some serious pain with something like Scions, Kasrkin, or even Ogryn. This is a great stratagem and one you'll likely be coming back to often. Swift Interception is a standard reactive move, this time for a non-Titanic transport. Reactive move abilities are always great, and having a reliable 6 inches is even nicer, although being limited to transports means sometimes you'll have to plan out your escape routes so you don't get pinned by terrain. Hasty Extraction is a panic button for your infantry, piling them back into a transport after they've been targeted by a charge. Move Out is fairly similar, instead having your dudes jump back into a transport at the end of your opponent's turn. This is a handy stratagem to keep your units moving to where they need to be, and for more opportunities to jump out of a transport for that +1 to wound. Your bread and butter in this detachment will be units of elite infantry jumping out of transports, then slamming Clear and Secure to sweep objectives clear. While Tempestus Scions and Kasrkin with their plethora of special weapons will serve nicely in this role, don't overlook the value of Ogryns dumping a pile of AP2 point-blank heavy bolter shots into a target. With your cargo picked, now comes delivery. The Chimera offers a decently durable hull with a range of heavy bolters, heavy flamers, and some chaff shots, as well as firing deck too, but the Taurox and Taurox Prime are likely the preferred choices here. The Taurox is extremely fast and lets you advance and disembark, while the Taurox Prime offers some okay long-range shooting while you push up, and any infantry units that disembark can reroll hits provided they shoot the same target as their ride. With these as your core, you'll want to keep transports and their cargo safe. You'll need to keep command points on standby for swift interception, hasty extraction, or move out as the situation demands. Any way you build it, this army is extremely command point hungry, so the struggle will be determining the time to push the offensive and when to hold back. Now let's look at the strengths and weaknesses. Mobility. The plethora of transports you'll be running, along with access to a reactive move stratagem and 2 re-embarking stratagems, means that while you have command points available, you can be all over the place with your army. Objective Control. Bold Leadership is an excellent ability that combines well with the mobility of your army and lets you stay on the offensive. and while you won't have as much OC as other guard armies, you will have the ability to sweep basically anything that dares to stand on objectives. Damage. Full reroll access is pretty good, and trivial access to +1 to wound on top of that means you can kill whatever it is you need to kill, provided you can keep your transport safe. But as we mentioned before, this army is extremely command point intensive. There will be a constant tension between going hard and smashing enemies off objectives with clear and secure, and needing to keep your troops and transports safe. You won't have enough CP to pull all your tricks all the time, so it'll be important to gauge the flow of the game. They're also vulnerable to Overwatch. A lot of your killing power comes from Toughness 3 goobers who, if they're lucky, have a 4-up save to protect them. Any sort of decent Overwatch can cripple a unit's output, so redundancies and finding any way to mitigate Overwatch will be critical. You'll also lose a lot of power if those transports go down. Your army only works as long as you've got trucks to play with. Lose those too fast, and you're just left with some regular guys hanging around. All the fun movement tricks and shenanigans that this detachment offers still doesn't quite dispel the notion that this might just be a worse version of Bridgehead Strike. It still mostly rewards scions, but doesn't give them the extra OC, and doesn't give the rest of your infantry reroll ones. The detachment ability is strong, but it can come apart if an opponent can forcibly remove you from your transports, while scions and Bridgehead Strike are offered the same buff, but without needing a transport. This detachment feels like in the right hands it could actually prove to be a menace, but the real power beyond just slamming clear and secure is a bit more subtle. All that being said, this detachment is extremely thematic for those who enjoy the Steel Legion archetype and who want to roll a flood of transports around the table. If you'd like to learn more about the Astra Militarum and this detachment in particular, hop on into your dedicated transport of choice and go to goonhammer.com. You can also support us on Patreon if you really like what we do. I've been Kasserkin McKymedon, and I will not be disembarking from my emotional support chimera. Thanks for watching.